Hello everyone, welcome to Describely. Today we are going to auto-generate migration using the SQL Alchemy and Alembic. So let's see that in action. So for the simplicity, so that you can also follow me through this video tutorial, I've created this Docker setup. So it's very simple to set up, and you can see here in the description, it includes MySQL adminer and mailpit. So MySQL is the database, adminer is that we will use to browse the database in the browser, and mailpit is if you are working with the mail, okay, and you want to test that in your local machine, so you can use this. But for this tutorial it is not required, but I have added here. So let's set up this repository. So it says clone this repository in your local machine by typing this. So instead of typing, you can copy and paste. So let me just open the terminal and let me go on my desktop. Let me paste this code. Okay, so this has cloned this repository. You can see it here. I have got this fastapi-starter-kit. Let me go inside the fastapi-starter-kit repository. So next step, it says open the terminal and navigate to the project. So if we are there, we need to create this Docker volume. Okay, so we can say we can copy and paste this Docker volume. And just to let you know, if you don't have Docker installed in your system, right? So you can go here, Docker Hub, and here, sorry, Docker install. You can search, and you will find this link here. So you can install Docker in Mac OS, Linux, or Windows, whatever operating system you're using. And once the installation is done, then run this command. Otherwise, it won't work. So once this is done, we can build the project. So we can just copy this command, docker compose build. So let's go to the terminal and just type this. So this will build the code that we copied here, and after that we can run docker compose up. So this will start the application. Okay, so if I let me just make it bigger. So you can see here SMTP server is started on 1025 port. MySQL is booting up. Adminer is started at 8080, and fast API is running at 8000. Okay, so we can go in the browser and we can open the 8000. So let me open this. You can see it says setup is done and working. So that means our setup is done. We can open the docs by saying /docs. So currently we don't have anything. We have only root uh, URL that says that setup is done and working. You can see it here. Apart from this, apart from that, if you want to browse the database, so you can open the local host 8080. We saw that, right? And we can use the credential here. So host is MySQL, and you can see the username is root and password is this one. So you can copy and paste this here. So you will see that there is a database fast API. So this is already created for us. So once we create the models and migrations, we can run the migration, and those tables will be created here inside this database. Okay. So apart from this, we have also installed this mailpit. If you want to see how the mailpit looks, so you can open this localhost and 8025. So you can see if you are working with your local any email application, right, that sends a email, so that email will appear here if you configure this. Here I'm in the project that we cloned previously. So inside this project, there is a very simple setup. So we have a Docker file that builds our code into the Docker container, and then we have requirements.txt. So we have some fast API, pydantic settings, UVI con, .env, SQL Alchemy, and PyMySQL installed already. Okay, and then we have a Docker compose, so that actually combines all the services together, Docker services to be precise. And then we have a .env. So here we have MySQL configuration and then app name and all. Okay. Apart from this, inside the app folder, we have main.py. So that is our root URL that we saw, and it creates the FastAPI application. So there is nothing in it. And we have a config file. So here I have a configured the database configuration. Okay. So you can see it's using the database URI from setting. Okay. So if you check the database URI, so this is nothing but MySQL user, MySQL host that we are getting from the environment variable. Okay, and there is nothing fancy in this configuration in this project. So let's now create the models. Okay, so here inside the F folder I will create another folder called models, and inside the models I will create a file user.py. Okay, you can name it user model.py, but I will name it user.py only. Let me copy and paste the user model code. Okay, because if I type it individually it will take some time, so I have prepared it for you. So you can see I have imported the date time, and from SQL Alchemy boolean column date time integer nesting, that I have used it here. Okay, and from database that we have configured here inside the config, I have imported the base. So you can see this base. Okay, so this is declarative base. So our model is ready now. Let's start config. Let's configure the Alembic now. So here I'm in Alembic documentation, official documentation. So if I go to the installation page, you can say we can install the pip install Alembic. Okay, but I want to add this into the requirement.txt. So if I go here, you can see 1.12.0. Okay, so we can just add this in our requirements.txt. Okay, like this, and we can add the version. Now again we need to build the our Docker image. When we build the Docker image, right, Alembic was not there, and this is the dependency in the container, so we need to rebuild the Docker image. So for that, let me go to the terminal, and by pressing the Control C 2 times, you can stop it, or if you press 1 time it will stop it slowly, but if you press 2 times it will be little quick. So for building this, we can say docker compose build, and we can say fast API service. Okay, so this fast API service is coming from here. If you are not aware, I will just show you. Let me go to the here. So this fast API service is coming from here, so this is the name that we need to put. Okay, so let me go to the terminal again and run this. Okay, so build is done. Now we can run the code again. So we can say docker compose up. So application is running. Now the Alembic is there inside the Docker container. So let's go to the documentation again, and after the installation we need to do the setup. So let's go to here. So you can see our project, and then Alembic, then env.py, and something like this. Okay, so we can initialize the Alembic by this command alembic init init alembic. Okay, so for this, to run this, what I will do, I will split the screen here, and let me just run this. So I will say docker compose run, and then service name, so fast API service, and slash bin slash sh and -c, and here inside this double quotes, right, whatever command we put, that command will be executed inside the container directly. Okay, so if I run this, you can see it has created the Alembic and Alembic versions. Okay, so if I go inside our code, right, so this should be created there as well. So you can see Alembic is created here. Okay, so it's created here. If you open this alembic.ini, so basically this is the ini configuration for the Alembic. And if you go here, script.py, so using this, this is not py actually, this is py.mako file. So this file actually used to create the migration whenever we run. Okay, and apart from this, we have this env.py. Okay, so this is the environment file for the Alembic. So you can see SQLAlchemy.url. So from here it's getting the login URL. So we need to modify this. So before that, I just want to walk you through. So whenever we run the migration, right, so this particular block of code will be executed. So this will be in online mode, and there is another offline mode. Okay, so here we will be including our models and connection string. To get the connection string, like if you remember, we have created our connection string inside the settings, right? And here is a method settings that we can call to get the setting information. So for that, let me import the setting here. Okay, so I will import it here. So I will say from app.config.settings import get settings, and then I can initialize the setting by saying settings equals to get setting. Okay, so let me put it before this. So here we are importing everything, so let me put it here. Okay, so we got our settings. So now we need to set this SQL Alchemy URL. Okay, so for this, if you see here, this URL is coming from this config. Okay, and this config is here. So if we set the URL inside this config using the same name that it's trying to fetch, we will get, I mean, it will be set there, right? So we can set this by saying config.set main option, and inside the main option we can pass this name sqlalchemy.url, and then we can say settings dot database.uri. This will work, but there is a case that I have seen, like whenever your password contains let's say at the rate or some symbols, right? So that gets converted into percentage value. Okay, like something like this. So for that, we can use the let's say replace here. So we can replace that uh, single percent sign with double percent sign, so that it works in all the cases. Let me put it in double quotes, although that doesn't matter. Okay, so what whenever a particular special character is encoded in percent sign, right? If we put one here, then what will happen? This Alembic will not consider that as a encoded string. Okay, so we need to make it like this. So now this is done. Apart from this, we need to import our model that we have created inside this. Okay, and also we need to import our base model. Okay, so for that, we can include it here. So we can say from app.config.database import base. Okay, and we can import our models here. So we can say import all models. So we can say from app.models.user, I will say import everything, and this base we need to configure. Okay, so if you see here, it says the target metadata. So this is our base model, right? Where is this? So we need metadata from this base. So we can say, you can see there is an example given here, my model.base.metadata. So I want to include this for all the models. I don't want to put a specific model here. So I will say base.metadata. Okay. So our configuration is done now, and our model is also done. So we can run the command now. To create a migration, let's browse this. So ini setup is done here. Okay, ini we did not need to change anything apart from this migration script. So we can create a migration using this. So Alembic revision -m. Uh, then we can pass some text here for what we are creating the migration, right? So let's try to do this. So let me copy this command and let me go inside the terminal. So I can say docker compose run fast API service. Okay, so bin/sh -c, and then we can put our command here. So I will say create user table, but we want this to, if I run this command, you will, let me show you what will happen. Okay, so if I run this command, you can see this command is generated a migration here. And let's go inside the code. So inside the versions, you can see it has generated a migration, but currently there is no code. Okay, we did not tell the Alembic to generate migration using our models. Okay, so let me delete this migration actually, and let's generate the migration using our model. Okay, so for that, let's go to the terminal again, and I will just run the same command, but now I will put hyphen hyphen auto generate here. Now the Alembic knows that I need to auto generate the migration, and for auto generating the migration, Alembic is going to look into this env file, and it will see all the imports that we have done here. Okay, and then it will go through inside this user model, and it will find out all the columns and their data types that we have defined, and based on this it will generate the migration file. So if I run the command again, okay, so there is some error. It says datetime has no attribute now. Okay, so let's see. Let's go to the code. Okay, so it should be like this: from date time, import date time. Okay, you can see currently migration is not generated because of this error. And if we go into the terminal and run it again, you can see the migration is not generated, and you can see detected uh, added table users and detected added index ix user email on email. So it has already detected something. Okay, so let's see that. So here if you see the email, we have added a index here, right? And this is also a unique index we have added. So if you go to our migration now, you will see all the columns is added automatically. Okay, and index is already added here, and unique is true. So whatever we had defined here inside this, right, it has automatically generated. So now our migration is ready. We need to apply this into our database. Okay, so for that, if we go to the documentation and just scroll down a little bit, running our first migration, so we can use this command alembic upgrade head, and this will run the command. Okay, so for this we can go into the terminal again, and let me just remove the previous command that we had there, and let me paste this. So alembic upgrade head, this will create the users table. So if I run this, you can see here we will assume non-transactional dd and running upgrade. So this particular id is created now. So if we go to the browser and open our database, we have it here now, right? So if I refresh this, you can see there is a alembic version. So using this table, it tracks the migration that we apply, and you can see the users table here, and you can see your primary key is id, unique index is added as email, and all the fields is added here. If you want to revert this, so for that, if we go to this, let's say running our second migration, we'll see that later. Okay, so for reverting we can say alembic downgrade, and then we can put either -1 or -2, how many migrations we want to revert. So we want to revert only one migration because we have only one. So for that, we can go here and we can say alembic downgrade and -1. If I run this command, you will see that running downgrade, and this is downgraded now. If we go to our database and if I refresh this, you will see the user table is gone. Currently we have only alembic and there is no data inside it. So let me run it again, upgrade this, so that we have our users table here. So we have, you can see this version and user table. So let's assume one scenario that you have migrated your table, right? And suddenly you remember that you forgot to add one column. And in our case, let's assume that we forgot to add our mobile number column here, and I want to edit this again. So for that, we can go to our code, and here we have email. So let me just duplicate this, and I will say mobile, and I will put 20 character for this. This is again unique, and I want to index this also. Okay, let's remove the unique attributes here. It's up to you if you want to keep it. I will just remove it. So we have added our mobile column here, and just now I remembered that I did not needed this delete at add column. So if you want to remove a column, you can also remove it from here and save this model. And if we go to our terminal again, okay, and we run docker compose run fast API service slash bin slash sh hyphen c, and for this we can again run our same migration command that we saw earlier, that is our alembic revision hyphen m. Let me paste this and hyphen m, and we can say here updated user table columns. If I press enter, it will generate another migration file. Okay, and if I go to this file, you will see it has added a column mobile inside the users table. Okay, and for the users table, it has created one index also. Okay, and for deleted it that we removed, it has added a command to drop that column. And let's apply this. So if I run alembic upgrade head, so this will apply this migration in our database. Let's go to the database now. You can see here I have deleted it, but I don't have mobile number right now. But if I refresh the page, you will see that deleted it is gone, and I can see the mobile columns here and mobile index also here. So this is how you can keep the change of your database, similar to what you can do with your code using the Git. So using the Alembic, you can keep the revision of your migration files and all. There is one more command for Alembic I want to discuss. Let's say if you want to drop all the tables that you have, so you can use this command alembic downgrade base, and it will drop all the tables. And using this head, you can again apply all the migration file that you have. So let me try to run this and drop everything that I've created. So let's delete this, and if I run this command, you can see it has dropped both the migration files. And if I go to our database, if I run this, you will see user tables is not there. We have only alembic revision table, and it doesn't have any data. I will push this code on GitHub, and I will paste the link inside the description so that if you need, you can have a look on the code. Thank you so much for watching this video tutorial. And if you have any doubt or questions regarding this tutorial, please comment it down. I will try to reply as soon as I can. If you haven't subscribed the channel or like the video, please do. And I will see you in the next one.